Hello, it is June 2025 and I cannot believe that we are halfway through the year. This is mental. It really does seem to go faster and faster as the years go on. So I am recording this from Gus the Bus, as you can see, and it seems to be a long time since I've recorded a monthly video update from Gus the Bus. But we are here. We've been spending a week in Scotland visiting our young things because they are both living in Scotland now. The weather has been typically Scottish. So we have had gorgeous sunshine, gale force winds, biblical rain and hail. So that's been interesting. So the question is, what does the energy look like for the month ahead? We've been on a bit of a ride this year, haven't we, with the energy slipstreams, because certainly from February and March we had a hell of a ride. It was unbelievably disruptive. And, you know, we had this whole planetary thing with all these planets kind of like coming into alignment. And that went on over the course of about 2 months. And it was a real cleaning and clearing energy. And it was very, very challenging for most of us, in fact. I mean, it was like, you know, things broke, relationships, jobs, cars, wow, whatever. It was just a big old energetic broom coming in and going, right, okay, let's get in those corners and get it all cleaned out. And since we've got into May, things have calmed down considerably, and that's really good. I've done a whole day's reading today, and every single reading I've done has been positive. I can't tell you how happy that makes me. There is a real change in the energetic flow of things. So the question is that going to continue or not in the month ahead? Well, let's see, shall we? So it looks to me like the month ahead, it's an interesting holding pattern. So we've got nothing tumultuous, you'll be very glad to hear. It's quite a quiet energy, but it's still an important month nonetheless. So don't be tempted to skip it because it's part of a process. So we're still in the same energy slipstream, so that's okay. We are sort of going to be called upon to lean in to what we want. Again, what do we want? It's the same thing. So I asked the same 4 questions that I asked every month because I think they're very useful questions for us. So the first question we always ask is, what is going to be the overarching energy that we are all going to experience in some capacity in the month ahead, in the month of June? The card that I pulled for that is the 4 of Pentacles. Now the 4 of Pentacles is indeed a holding pattern. It's a card of playing it safe. We've come out of this very difficult couple of months into May, and you know, we feel much relieved about that. That feels calmer, but we perhaps still feel that we're not entirely out of the woods, or we don't feel safe to particularly expand. That's okay. We're building at the moment, but it's important that we do build, because the 4 of Pentacles is a very conservative card. So it's talking literally about being conservative, conserving what you've got. And we can see on the card, because obviously we're working with the life code deck here, we can see the guy on the card is literally playing it safe. We have safe. He's holding on to a safe. So he doesn't want to risk anything. He just wants to maintain the status quo. That's going to be the general feeling of things. We're not going to want to take any risks. We're not going to want to make any sudden moves. We're not going to want to disturb the energy at all. We just want to keep things as they are, enjoy a little bit of stability. Now that's fine. It's not a terrible thing, but it's not an energy that we can sit in for too long. Because if we do, we will start to stagnate. It's okay as a short-term situation, as long as it's a place to build from, not a place to live in. And that's really important. So that's going to be our overarching energy for the month ahead. Okay, So what should we lean into? What should we embrace for the best effect that's going to lead us through this month of June 2025? Well, what we have is the Seven of Cups. Now that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the Seven of Cups doesn't look like something we would perhaps naturally lean into, because it is a big old cloud of confusion. But it can also be blue sky thinking. There are two aspects of the Seven of Cups. There is creative thought, visualization, but we do have to be careful with the whole castles in the air aspect that the Seven of Cups does, warn us against. So it is going to ask us to make sure we're clear on what's real and what's not. Now, we can still visualize and we can still do some really good blue sky thinking, because the trouble is we can't sit in this Four of Pentacles energy for too long. So we do need to think about what it is we want to create. And what we really need to be doing, if we're going to lean in to the Seven of Cups, is we need to be visualizing the best case scenario. But of course, with the Seven of Cups, there is the temptation for us to also perhaps consider the worst case scenario, or the fact that other things might happen, or this might happen, or this might happen. It's asking you to be very conscious of this. It doesn't want you to go off on actual flights of fancy, but it does want you to have a look at your energetic world, your emotional world, and look at what's going on and what you want to make happen in that world. So it's not an exact thing. There's a lot of game playing in here. It's a pink fluffy cloud is what it is. If we marry that up against what we should not do, what will challenge us, what will make this month harder, we've got the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is in its way as much of a cloud of confusion as the Seven of Cups is. The Seven of Cups is, well, this might happen and this might happen. And the Nine of Swords is doing exactly the same thing, but quite negatively. So the Nine of Swords is our personal experience of the worst aspect of swords. It's where swords are running out of control, where our mind is running out of control, and our mind is coming up with all of these nightmare scenarios. And what we don't want to be doing is we don't want to be leaning into that, because that's going to keep us playing it safe. That's going to keep us stuck. And what we want to do is we want to come up with maybe a bit more of a fluffy bunny version. We've got to make sure we know what's real and what's not. We want to come up with the right balance between the two, don't we? We don't want to be off on some unicorn journey of idealism, but also we don't want to be leaning into fear and anxiety and thinking the worst case is going to happen either. If you can do anything this month, hit that medium, hit that thing where you're capable of imagining something different, imagining the next stage, but you're not going to go into anxiety and you're not going to be swept off in a cloud of fantasy in either direction, because they're both clouds of fantasy in either direction. But we need to lean into the Seven, as in, well, let's at least see what castles in the air we'd like to build. Still, we do need to ground it. So that's fascinating, I think. If we now go the next stage and we ask, what is the message from Spirit in all of this? And the card that I've drawn for that is the Two of Wands, which again, it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Because we've got an energy of playing it safe, and then we've got these two polar opposites. We've got this one, which is like, oh, this might happen and this might happen, hurrah! And then we've got this one, which is this might happen and this might happen, ah! The message from Spirit is, well, you know what? You pick. But you can't have both. You've got to choose which scenario you're going to walk down. You've got to choose your route. By the time you get to the end of June, you need to have decided on which way you're going to go. And we get to do that by the power of our thinking and by the power of what we feel. So if we go back to that Seven of Cups card, it almost tells us that maybe we need to be on a anything's possible trajectory. If anything was possible, what would you do? Maybe anything is possible, but let's play with it. Let's see what's possible. What would you like to be possible? If we constantly go into that Nine of Swords and go, well, you know, I can't do that because then that might happen and that might happen in a really negative way, we're not going to make anything happen. So this is a month that we're going to need to pick our team. If you've got the devil on one shoulder and the angel on this shoulder, you got to pick your ally. Who do you think is telling you the truth? A naysayer? Or the fluffy bunny angel that tells you everything's going to be wonderful? You're going to have to choose, because you can't be friends with them both. One of them's got to go, because that's the point of the Two of Wands. You abandon one path in favour of the other. Its sort of nickname is Dominion. It's telling you, you have the power, you have the dominion, you need to be the boss. This is your dominion. You choose your path here. Are you going to take the path of anxiety and fear, or are you going to take the path of anything's possible? We may as well go and explore and see what happens. Now, it takes a bit of courage to do that, doesn't it? And yes, of course, we have to be a little bit careful. We don't want to take any massive leaps of faith and be silly, but we do need to give it a chance. If we just always focus on what might go wrong, then that's what we build our life around, and there's no joy in that, is there? Interesting month, I think, and it's a very internal month, so there's not a lot of discernible disruption going on around you. And if in fact, I would say it's probably the energetic world itself is actually relatively undisruptive. You will be able to navigate through, and you will be able to make those policy decisions on how you want to walk forward. And I think that's the point. These are policy decisions that you're going to be asked to make. So whatever happens next month, I think this is where we get to do something a bit more proactive. Not that this isn't proactive, but still, it's all to play for, right? Excellent. I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on this and how this is going to play out for you, and whether you feel this resonates for you, and you know how this is showing up in your life. Okay, now obviously all of these readings, you know, they are general, but the good thing about tarot and the way tarot works is that we have an overarching story, and that story is able to be skewed to your personal version. That's how it actually works. So whatever this energy is in this reading, your version of it will be yours, but the top line will apply to everybody pretty much. So even though it feels broad-based, if you look at the underlying messages and you look at how they're showing up for you personally, you will find a version of it that makes sense. And your job in this, if you choose to accept it, is to maybe try and experiment and say, well, okay, well, what if I just do what the reading says? How is this going to play out for me? Let's see how that feels. What difference does it make? Because that's what I do in my life. I lean in, and I'm mindful of what the reading says, and I follow the road, because I have never found it to lead me astray. So it'll be interesting to see what your thoughts are and whether you think this works for you. Let me know. I'd be fascinated to hear. It's been lovely to be out in Gus the Bus again, and we've really enjoyed being in Scotland. Anyway, I will see you soon. I'm always here for a reading if you need one, and don't forget, every Tuesday I'm on YouTube for a live, and you can come and you can ask me questions, and I will draw a card for you, and we will do what is actually quite an in-depth reading, even though it's got one card. So do send me your questions if you would like, and I will answer them on the live on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. All right, see you then. Bye bye for now. Bye bye. Hello, thank you for watching our video. If you're interested in the world of tarot and would like to explore further and would like to know how to bring tarot to life so that it makes sense in the real world, I'd like to invite you to explore the Tarot Tribe. The Tarot Tribe is my personal membership, and inside you'll find a community of tarot students just like you, lots of bite-sized mini courses, a new one every month, and new spreads, demo videos, a clinic with me every month, and also discounts on readings with me once a quarter. So if you'd like to explore that, I would love to see you on the inside. Here's the link. I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye-bye for now.